How can my constituents in Vermont get some of that money? Who makes the decisions? Do you guys sit around in a room? Do you make it? Are there conflicts of interest? So my question to you is, will you tell the American people to whom you lent $2.2 trillion of their dollars? Will you tell us who got that money and what the terms are of those agreements?
We explain each of our programs. In terms of the terms, we explain the terms exactly. We explain what the collateral requirements are. We explain what...
To whom did you explain that?
It's on our website.
Yeah, okay.
So all that information is available in our commercial paper.
And who got the money?
Hundreds and hundreds of banks. Any bank that has access to the U.S. Federal Reserve System.
Can you tell us who they are?
No, because the reason that is counterproductive and will destroy the value of the program is that banks will not come to this.
Isn't that too bad?
Sorry?
In other words, isn't that too bad? They took the money, but they don't want to be public about the fact that they received it. We heard a whole lot about AIG. They're on the front pages.
These are very...
Now, I got banks and I have businesses in the state of Vermont who are in a lot of trouble. Not banks. Our banks, by the way, are doing pretty well. Now, how do these guys who are honest business people get it? Do you have to be a large, greedy, reckless financial institution to apply for these monies?
There is no subsidy. There is no capital involved. There is no gift involved. It is a collateralized, short-term liquid loan that is both over-collateralized and is recourse to the company itself. We have never lost a penny doing it.
And how can other institutions get those loans as well?
According to the law, we are supposed to be lending to depository institutions.
Let me just say this, Mr. Chairman. I have a hard time understanding how you have put $2.2 trillion at risk without making those names available, those institutions public. And we're going to introduce legislation today, by the way, to demand that you do.
All right, do you understand what's being reported here? The Federal Reserve banking system that answers to no one takes $2.2 trillion of money that we as taxpayers are on the hook for and refuses to say who got the money. $2.2 trillion, and we don't even know who has the money. And this is going on right now. It gets very little press. Unbelievable story. But thanks to Bernie Sanders, Senator, bringing that to light. We're going to go ahead and take a break. Then we're going to come back with just a few more news stories, and then we will take your phone calls here on the Real News. All right, we are back on the Real News, and the omnibus bill has 8,000 different earmarks in it, and I just wanted the most ridiculous one that I could come up with that's in it for a country that's $11 trillion past bankrupt, bailing out bankrupt banks to boot, but our Republicrats and our Democrats still don't get it. Harkin, an Iowa Democrat, succeeded in getting the funds included in the omnibus spending bill that is pending in the Senate, drawing protest from some and Senator McCain that this was wasteful spending of the tax dollars. I'm sure that David Letterman will probably be talking about it, and Jay Leno will be talking about it also, stated the Iowa Democrat. We've got $1.8 million to study why pigs smell, Harkin said on the Senate floor after an amendment was introduced aimed at killing the funding. People constantly complain with good reason about pig farms, factory farms, their environmental impacts, so we think it makes good sense to fund research that adding how people can live in small towns and communities and livestock can coexist, he said. Harkin argued that the money was to replace funds that have been zeroed out from agricultural research services under George W. Bush. So here we've got Senator Harkin putting $1.8 million in to try to figure out why pigs smell. The lunatics have taken over the asylum. We're bankrupt. But I got one other quick story here, and then I'm going to turn it to Brian. This was on Bloomberg News this past week. FDIC's Bayer says insurance fund could be insolvent this year. March 4th, Bloomberg, Federal Deposit Insurance Corp. Chairman Sheila Bayer said the deposit insurance fund could dry up amid a surge in bank failures as she responded to an industry outcry against new fees approved by the agency. With these assessments, the deposit insurance fund could become insolvent this year, Bear wrote in a March 2nd letter to the industry U.S. Committee Bank plan to flood the FDIC with about 5,000 letters in protest of the fees, according to a trade group. A large number of bank failures may occur through 2010 because of rapidly deteriorating economic conditions, Bear said in the letter. Without substantial amounts of additional assessment revenue in the near future, current projections indicate that the fund balance will approach zero or even be negative. The FDIC last week approved a one-time emergency fee and other assessments increased on the industry to rebuild a fund to repay customers for deposits of as much as $250,000 when a bank fails. The fees opposed by the industry may generate $27 billion this year after the fund fell to $18.9 billion in the fourth quarter from the $34.6 billion in the previous year. So since this, Chris Dodd has proposed a $500 billion loan to prop up the FDIC Insurance Corporation. If anyone is looking for a red flag of exactly how bad a situation we're in, the FDIC is reporting that it may go insolvent this year. And I spoke to a gentleman yesterday, a very knowledgeable gentleman, but I told him this story, and I would have had to have it in front of him for him to believe it. He said the dollar was safe, and that there was no problem with the dollar. And I pointed out to him that as we were speaking, the federal government was trying to fund itself through Tuesday of next week. The federal government's trying to pass legislation to fund itself through Tuesday of next week. Yeah, everything is peachy keen.
Well, and as we had reported here, if you recall, Farron, it's been a while, but when the FDIC was hiring new people, particularly people with the experience of failed banking institutions, I believe they hired 50 new people. This was, maybe a year ago. This is a story I've been wanting to cover for a while, and since we have a little more time today, I'm going to cover it. And I'm not making this up, folks. This is real, and I didn't really believe it myself at first. You know what I'm talking about. Morgellons, terrifying new disease reaching pandemic status. This is from naturalnews.com, Tuesday, March 3rd, 2009. It seems like something from a bad sci-fi movie. People report the sensation of creatures crawling under their skin. Mysterious moving fibers appear. And finally, bugs and worms pop out. Unfortunately, these terrifying symptoms are all too true. The people having them are experiencing Morgellons, the latest and scariest of the series of bizarre diseases appearing in the last few years, seemingly from nowhere. Morgellons is now reaching epidemic proportions in the U.S. and abroad. Morgellons is a multi-dimensional disease. Morgellons starts with relentless itching, stinging or biting sensations. Cotton-like balls may appear on the body with no reasonable explanation. Soon skin rashes develop along lesions that will not heal. Many sufferers report string-like fibers of varying colors popping throughout the skin lesions. These fibers can be black, white, red, or even iridescent blue. Others report blood. I'm not making this up. Where was I?
There's pictures. There were pictures on the Natural News website too. I saw them, and it just looked hideous.
I didn't even see the pictures.
Yes. Oh, it's terrible.
Others report black specks falling from their bodies that litter their sheets and bathrooms. Eventually, a variety of bugs and worms begin to find their way out of the body through the lesions. Other accompanying symptoms include hair loss, debilitating chronic fatigue, hard nodules beneath the skin, and joint pain. Morgellons also has a cognitive aspect. People with the disease experience neurological damage that manifests as difficulty concentrating, inability to process and use language effectively, and generalized brain fog. The presence of reduced cognitive ability has made it easier for doctors to dismiss Morgellons and send patients away with a diagnosis of delusional parasitosis, meaning they are imagining their infections as parasites. After the typical 8-minute visit, traditional doctors pull out their prescription pads and write these people prescriptions for antidepressants or psychotic medications. As a result,